your grades are the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what. Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Wave Your Grades. We're coming to you live on Saturday, June 25th from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. Wave Your Grades is on KUAW.org. That's KUAW.org. KUAW stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. How do I know? Because the gentleman who is responsible for the caption and the founding is Louis George Walker, and he's with us this Saturday and has been every Saturday for a while now. I point that out because Louis George Walker has 24/7 responsibility for the station. Those of us who are independently produced really should be producing and handling the technological chores ourselves, but during the pandemic and other problems, other issues, Louis George Walker is standing in probably for pretty much 90% of us. But certainly we appreciate the opportunity to be on KUAW.org. Our program is called Wave Your Grades in honor of those who have served in the military, and for that matter, those who are serving in the military, and for excellent students striving for excellence in honor of our troops. I'm a civilian, and my honor is to get the opportunity to introduce, to interview, and partner with veterans, but most particularly veterans who are serving their communities ongoing, and in some cases, perhaps at a higher level than when they were deployed. A very special example of that is Rebecca Bradley. And I want to say, in behalf of Wave Your Grades, we ask students, don't just wave the flag, wave your grades, wave your accomplishments, wave your leadership, wave your community service. Welcome, Rebecca Bradley. Thank you for being here this afternoon.
And thank you for having me again.
Now, as a matter of fact, just in case there are new viewer listeners, you started us out. So when you say again, it doesn't mean like you were on once. you are what the program is about. How are you? How's family? Bring us up to date.
I am doing very fine. I retired since I was last on the station on the radio.
Yes.
However, I still have that knowledge, which I wish to impart to everyone, because knowledge is power and we perish for lack of knowledge.
Wow.
And I did work for the state of Missouri. Now I am the commander of National Association for Black Veterans and have been for a while. And we work together in community service to create a positive environment for veterans. And so I thank you for allowing me to be on. My daughter she has graduated, working on her master's in special education.
And now, was that Jackson, Mississippi?
Yes, Jackson State, Mississippi.
Jackson State.
She got her undergraduate, working on her graduate degree in special education. So she got an opportunity to work in the field, and she continues to work in the field and enjoys it.
You know what, I appreciate that for so many reasons, and it's kind of interesting because accolades are obviously due as it relates to the field of education, but there were honors bestowed upon your daughter beyond just her pursuit of education. Will you talk a little bit about that, please?
Okay, well, I sent my daughter off to go to college to get a college degree.
Yes.
Before she completed that, she was awarded Miss Black Mississippi 2019 USA. And she worked fervently in the community her platform is education, as most of us, we want to encourage people to get a education. And just because you have a learning disability, it should not stop you, because there's so many organizations, so much information to help people overcome learning disabilities. She's dyslexic, just as a lot of entertainers are dyslexic, but she put her best foot forward, one foot in front of the other, and would not stop, kept on moving, and continues
Yes.
to move to promote education.
That is so good. And I'll tell you why, from my perspective. A lot of times when we look at, quote, contests, unquote, we will find that those who are participating will offer what their aspirations are. And I don't know, I would love to think that 100% of those who participate do indeed do what they say they're going to do. But we here, Brother Lewis George Walker, Brother Carl Boyd, are privileged to know someone who can attest to the fact that she didn't stop, that indeed she is pursuing what she said her platform was. So congratulations to you, Rebecca Bradley, and your daughter's name again is?
Zenobia Lauren Bradley.
We must not forget that name. We will be hearing it quite a bit.
She's a
And
graduate
by
of
the way,
Grandview High School.
and graduated from Grandview High School. Now, we're going to come back to that in a little while. I'm glad you mentioned that as it relates to our Astutes for Boots campaign.
Okay.
And by the way, for those who hear the term STUTS, it is short for students, but it is an acronym that has a meaning. Students Theater of Operations, the school. And our philosophy is, just as those who are deployed into a theater of operations militarily, American students have a theater of operations in the classroom. Students Theater of Operations, the school. And Rebecca Bradley, as we say thank you to you, as we appreciate so much what your resume helps us to understand. And let me just say that I have availed myself of your knowledge and services repeatedly. I offered the disclaimer at the beginning, I am a civilian, but I know many veterans, and when there is a question, and by the way, I'll say this while I'm making this remark, that you are the Commander National Alliance of Black Veterans, but I have not only had inquiries from Black veterans, you have served the entire veteran community. So thank you for that. And we continue not only to remember that, but to avail ourselves of your wisdom where those things are concerned. How many chapters in the National Alliance of Black Veterans?
National Association.
Association.
You know what? I'm not certain, but we are chapter 41.
Wow.
And that was established back in 2007. So I think they have exceeded 100 chapters. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be having our national conference in Milwaukee. And we would love to have as many veterans to attend that event, even to join National Association for Black Veterans. So if anyone is interested, they can contact me. All the information is on the website, National Association for Black Veterans. Our chapter again is chapter 41.
Outstanding. Congratulations. Keep on keeping on. And once again, I will be recommending people to you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Because that is so very, very important. And as we talked to Rebecca Bradley about some of your exploits and your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, how might we sometime in the near future capture historical reflections from the career of Rebecca Bradley?
Well, you know, I worked for the state for 15 years and I acquired a lot of information.
Yes.
And right now that I am retired, I am regrouping myself, pretty much getting my home situated where I can sit down and have that quiet place. And I hope to produce some type of information. I think it will probably be in the format of like a planner or a workbook to help people to know how to access their veterans benefits. The information is out there. Anyone can get it. However, I wish to simplify the information so a person can just easily know where to go get the information, how to get the information, under what circumstance should they start documenting their information. Because VA law is just like any other law that is written. It applies to everyone. However, you have to know that you got to have your evidence.
Yes,
You know, evidence is key. If you're going to go to court, they're going to say, where's your evidence?
without a
And
doubt.
that is probably the number one factor as to why people get turned down, because they don't have their evidence. And in my workbook slash planner, I want veterans to know when they should start documenting. And that could be at the first time that they get hurt or go to sick call. That could be when they are mentally, sexually harassed. All of that is information that the VA can use, to include any witnesses. And those are what we call buddy or lay statements.
Mhm.
Someone who can witness that you did go have an accident, because a lot of times we have veterans who are out in the training field and they may have a rollover in their Jeep. That was back then in Vietnam period.
Yes,
And they would jump up and dust themselves off and keep on going, but they would be hurt because, you know, with a lot of car accidents, sometimes you don't feel it right then, but you'll feel it later.
yes,
And they don't go to sick call.
yes.
So we need those veterans to start documenting that they did have an accident if they did not go to sick call, or write down who was the witness, get their names or information. Somehow 10 years later, you're going to want to contact them and you want to
Now
know
there,
what they were in. And so all of that information is important.
well, I have two questions where that is concerned, but I thought I saw Brother Louis George Walker kind of leaning in. And, oh, okay. But certainly at any point, just say or ask whatever you, well, you know that. So we thank you for that. Here's question number one for Rebecca Bradley. And once again, having been a department head on minority affairs, what was that title, by the way?
I was the Minority Veterans Coordinator for the state of Missouri. And
Minority Veterans
Veterans
Coordinator.
Coordinator. And I did that job for 15 years.
Yes. So my first question to you is, do you find that there are people needing services who make it more complicated than it needs to be?
Uh, if so, let me put it like that.
Yes,
It's only because they don't know what to ask, you
yes,
know.
yes,
If you don't know what to ask, you don't know what's out there. And you're not going to always find someone who spoon feeds you information. You may go into an office and say, uh, I got Agent Orange, put me in for Agent Orange. Well, you can't put a person in for Agent Orange. What disease is it that Agent
oh,
Orange caused you?
I see,
You know,
I
and
see.
so there's a list of different diseases associated with Agent Orange. And I think that's what frustrates a lot of people, because they know that Agent Orange related claims have been approved, but you can't go in and say, I want to, you put me in for Agent Orange. So that kind of
Now,
muddies up the water.
this brings me to another question for Sister Rebecca Bradley. And looking forward, I don't know what your timeline might be or whether you are prepared at this moment to offer the timeline for that journal, for that curriculum, for that book.
Okay. Well, I am looking at November for the most
Thank you.
simplified. I think I'm gonna put it in a form of a calendar. Start there.
My prayer would be that
Mhm.
we can say on November 11th that this is absolutely available. So here's the question that you just made me mindful of, in as much as you mentioned Agent Orange.
Mhm.
We're thinking about the 1960s and very early 1970s. Those who are in need of your information might want to know if there is, as it relates to injury, illness, whatever it might be, a statute of limitations on their ability to claim.
There is no statute on submitting a claim for compensation or
Okay,
pension. There are certain benefits that there is a statute on, like education.
okay.
If you served in Vietnam, or even when I served back in the 80s, you got 12 years to use your
Oh, okay.
educational benefits.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that has changed, but they're constantly, uh, the VA constantly make changes. So there are a lot of educational programs. I don't have that information in front of me, but that is something people will also want to look at because again, knowledge is power. You want to educate yourself, uh, particularly when it's free.
Well, now, once again, if you would please, Rebecca Bradley, offer contact information. I'll have a question or two after that, but I want to repeat a few times during this broadcast how you can be contacted for complicated questions or perhaps some simple directions.
Okay, we have Casey Navats, chapter 41 at Gmail.
Excellent, excellent. Appreciating that so very much. One of the things that we do, we're already 20 minutes in. I always ask our dear brother, Louis George Walker, to help those who are with us to understand not only how they can access this program live, but what they might be able to do even after the program is over this afternoon. Thanking the founder, as well as producer, engineer, host of various programs of KUAW.org. Here is Louis George Walker.
There we go. All right, all right. Well, good afternoon, Carl, and thank you for the introduction, and thank you for bringing this show, Wave Your Grades, to KUAW Radio. I want to let everybody know that you can listen to KUAW Radio in various ways. You can watch us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and Twitch. You can also listen to the audio side on Get Me Radio, on the TuneIn app, on my online radio box and my tuner. Yeah, also, if you have a smart speaker, tell your Google or your Amazon speaker to play KUAW and you can pick us up there. And I was just talking to a lady that went on her Roku on her new television and she's able to get the audio side through Roku. And we're also on Apple TV, audio side. So go to Apple, go to Roku, any of those places, and put in KUAW Radio, and we'll pop up for you. So keep listening. We're on 24 hours a day right here in Kansas City, going out to the world. This is Kansas City's global community radio station, KUAW. And now back to Carl Boyd and Wave Your Grades.
Thank you so very, very much, Louis George Walker. As a matter of fact, to those who are with us did not have the benefit of our earlier conversation. Brother Louis George Walker and I were talking before we came on about how we used to Skype in the 1940s, and we used to Zoom and have meetings in the projects when I was growing up. Could I claim that, Brother Walker? Maybe not. Today's technology is absolutely phenomenal. So for those who are with us, Brother Walker has shared anecdotes as it relates to worldwide contact for real. So we just thank you for our having this opportunity. Our very special guest this afternoon, Sister Rebecca Bradley, a veteran extraordinaire with much information, and we will continue to discuss that. But Rebecca Bradley, here is something I want to broach now, in as much as the purpose for this program, and now that we are beginning to cope with the pandemic. It has not ended, but we will begin to have our traditional students with veterans on the program. It is a program that honors veterans and encourages students. You and I were talking about something that had to do with young people and some programs, including something to do with bicycles, I think, or something like that. But tell us what we might engage in with some young people through someone you know.
Well, currently it is just a thought and an idea.
Yep.
Something that I would like to see National Association for Black Veterans and whoever will work with us, because as part of our organization, we do have a youth component. And we had set up at Juneteenth before the pandemic, and we allowed the children to play carnival games and provided them with beverage and a little snack to eat. And so I'm thinking we might want to do something for the students as they go back to schools come August. It would be nice if we could get the children to have a bicycle parade.
Yes.
You know, our children face so much in the world today. They see things that they shouldn't see. They hear things that they shouldn't hear. And if we could just get them together, give them, again, beverages, bomb pops, which my neighbor is doing. This is where I got the idea. They're having a parade for the 4th of July, just a neighborhood parade. It's called Bicycle and Bomb Pops. But I have a youth program with my ministry, Home Missions Outreach Ministry.
Oh.
And I have been working with children every summer and at Christmas. And we play carnival games, which I incorporated with National Association for Black Veterans. And I just want the children to come together and have a stress-free fun day. And if I can get a location, and if you can help me to continue to advertise, I would like to see that. And if anyone wish to donate bicycles to children, that would be wonderful. I know as kids, we all had bicycles. If we didn't have bicycles, we were sharing bicycles. We were sitting on top of the bicycle rims,
Yes.
I mean, the boards.
Yes.
And children need to get out and have fun. And not only that, they're saying that our children aren't healthy because they're sitting around watching TV. This gives the children an opportunity to get out and in a carnival atmosphere. So if anyone would like to work with me, i.e. Stoots for Boots.
I was just going to say to Brother Walker, it sounds like she wants our children to go bike to school. But believe me,
we probably need a church or a school parking lot to carry this off.
Well, now let me say to you, thank you very much. That was a great opportunity for a segue into an announcement that I failed to make.
Okay.
I am a member of Veterans of Foreign Wars Auxiliary,
Mm-hmm.
Post 8100, which indeed is in Grandview, Missouri.
Wonderful.
Now, the reason that I am suggesting to you that I appreciate this opportunity for a segue into that announcement is because some who are with us might not realize that a civilian can be a part of an auxiliary, but auxiliary being supportive of, not
Correct.
members of the Veterans of Foreign Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, my oldest brother, Herbert, was a Marine from 1952 until 1955. He served in Korea. So his having served in a foreign war allows me to be eligible to be a part of the Foreign Wars Auxiliary here in Grandview.
Okay.
Now, the reason that works so well with what you are talking about, Sister Rebecca Bradley, is that they have allowed me to now serve as the chairman of the youth committee, the
Wonderful.
FW Auxiliary Post 8100, which means that I have an opportunity to offer both the youth committee interest in what you're doing, plus Stoots for Boots.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are going on something of a campaign, as it were, to extend what Stoots for Boots has been doing and what we are about to do, inspired by Rebecca Bradley. So I am thinking that with your ideas and our being able to come together and brainstorm, I had written down uh, having students going back packing
Mm-hmm.
and what that will mean for the beginning of the school year is going back packing patriotic purpose. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. I think that if you polled anyone who has been with us for the last decade or so, particularly for the last 5 years or so, more particularly in the year of 2022, that we have to admit that in the United States of America, we have been more divided in some quarters than we can remember for a long time.
Yes.
And it appears that we are going to continue to argue with each other, oftentimes politically, with vitriol and violence. I think that America has an opportunity to find a need to unify around veterans and students. And many of our young people will be in leadership positions, again, to talk about those things that they're doing that are excellent and something with which all segments of society ought to be able to agree. We owe honor to our veterans and we must protect our children. I just think that's going to be hard to find somebody who disagrees with it. It's just a matter of, okay, then how do you go about it? So let me tell you what Rebecca Bradley said as we started this program today. Sister Bradley, you indicated that it is one thing to follow the law, but in order to follow, you must know the law.
Mm-hmm.
It is one thing to avail yourself of the benefits that veterans ought to have, but you have to know what those benefits are and how to go about accessing. And here we are now, where we need to help our young people to understand how they can best serve, and it is being excellent So when you were talking about getting them together and what you are doing with young people, just perhaps we can have an event and maybe even pass out backpacks with the bicycle run, but packing with a patriotic purpose. So I'm thanking you for the inspiration.
All right, I'm gonna write that down.
And I will email it to you. Uh, that reminds me, once again, let those who are with us know your contact again, because I'm going to do it after we get through with the program.
Okay, we have email kcnabvats chapter 41 @gmail.
Now, one of the things that you said, and we appreciate this so very much, is that some of what you would just ordinarily do has been delayed or hampered by the pandemic.
Mhm.
So, with that, are there things that we can gear up for now that are being rediscovered, or are you just starting over altogether new?
Could you repeat that again?
I was just wondering whether or not some of the things that you would ordinarily do that have been delayed by the pandemic are going to start again, or is your campaign just starting all over totally?
Pretty much starting all over
Yes.
because many of us in my chapter uh, are seniors, Vietnam,
Ah,
and and some of us have caught COVID, unfortunately,
yeah,
and then some of us don't want to catch
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
So we have been meeting by Zoom
Yes.
or outdoors or infrequently. So we're just right now really playing it by ear, uh,
Yes.
seeing what we can do, and maybe we can get volunteers who are willing to come out and work outdoors where you don't necessarily have to,
Exactly.
wear that mask. And
Exactly.
that's what we're looking at now.
Now, I can honestly say, and Brother Louis George Walker can attest to the fact that you look fine, you look healthy. How are you? That wasn't a personal reference, I take it. Yeah, you are fine now, I think. Is that correct? I, hello.
Is that to Rebecca?
That was to Rebecca. I was just
Oh, it
wondering.
was.
No, I was saying that Brother Walker can attest to the fact, as
Uh-huh.
I am observing, that you look fine, and you mentioned COVID, but were you speaking personally, because you look like you're fine now?
Oh, you know what? I'm telling you, I haven't worked since October last year, and I've gotten rested.
Okay,
And so I'm still continuing to,
okay,
my goal is to become mentally fit, physically fit, and spiritually fit. And so I am going to the gym. As you get older, if you don't move it, you lose it.
yes.
I hope to write this book because if you don't use it, you lose
Oh,
it.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
then above all, we want to be spiritually in tune with God. So those are the three areas I have been focusing on. And if I do look better, it's because of that.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a blessing. And
Mhm.
I would like to find out, as it relates to the information that will be covered in the book, if you are available, for instance, for uh, college and even high school lectures or presentations where the information is concerned.
I will always be available,
That is,
because just because you're retired, you have to keep yourself mentally fit, physically strong, as I stated, and you have to socialize. That's a big key to be keeping your mind is socialization.
I think that it would be well for those of us who get the opportunity to hear from you and to hear you to really, really take seriously and understand how important mental health is in the times we are living right now.
It's very important. And that's why I want to focus on the youth, because I really hate for it to come out my mouth, but a lot of our children are harming themselves because of their mental health.
Yeah.
And you also have entertainers who are harming themselves to their detriment because of their mental health. And one thing that I have learned since I have been out of the military is that everyone needs someone to talk to, and the VA provides social workers, counselors to talk to. And I really want to push that. If I have anything to push first, it would be that, because in the military, it's so stringent on our mental health. And we get attacked on many sides because we have to be perfect. You know, good enough is the enemy of perfect, and they want things perfect. And so it's a challenge. And at the end of the day, you take off your battle gear, you know, physically, you're tangible. But this here, you have to um, be able to get it back in tune. And the best way to do that is with a counselor, you know, someone who can help you understand how to shut your mind down, you know, mindfulness, how to stay in the current time and not drift back to the past or stress about what's going to happen in the future. And those are some things that I've learned through counseling through the VA.
One of the things that I heard from a veteran, gee, this is 2022 already. I think this was 2019, a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a setting where those of us who are civilians
Mm-hmm.
were uttering the phrase, thank you for your service. And this particular gentleman had a concern about that being just a rote statement that really didn't have teeth. And if you're just going to say thank you for your service in a rote fashion, repetitiously, um, that's all right. And what you are talking about in terms of communicating and having someone with whom to talk, ooh, once again, those veterans can simply contact the VA, or is there a particular department? What do they do?
The VA has made available, this is Department of Veterans Affairs, not only the VA hospital, they have what they call a PCT clinic. Actually, it's a PTSD clinic, but they also have the Vet Center. And the Vet Center is available for war veterans as well as veterans who have been traumatized. And they have counselors. They are a separate entity, but they're still a part of the Veterans Department of Veterans Affairs, but not the hospital. And the hospital can refer people over there, or they can go directly to the Vet Center. But everybody needs somebody to talk to. I can't say that enough, because that helps you get through periods of anger and anxiety and fear. And I think everybody at some point in their life go through a period of depression. However, if you stay in that depression too long, it's not good for you mentally.
Let me tell you why I so appreciate your being with us today, Rebecca Bradley, Commander, National Association of
Yeah.
Black Veterans. But even beyond that, it is not just important, it is crucial that people with whom you make contact understand that vulnerability is not weakness. We're all
No.
vulnerable.
Mhm.
So I just wish that just for those few people, if it is only few, but whomever happens to be with us this afternoon, can you just help us to understand that those people who are suffering are not alone and that there are many people who need what they need?
Yeah, a lot of times, and I want to talk about our community because it is almost taboo for us to say that we have a mental health
Come
problem.
on. Thank you.
And maybe we shouldn't look at it as a mental health problem, but we need someone who we could chit chat with.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think that's the key to us maintaining good relationships with family as well as friends. And when we go to meetings and things like that, because the counselors have been trained. And if you are a Christian, there are Christian counselors out there as well. If and I'm a Christian, and if you go back uh, in the Bible, if you go and look at Psalms, the book of Psalms, David wrote a lot of Psalms as he was going through different periods in his life. There were periods and times where the enemy was chasing him and wanted to kill him. If that don't give you stress.
Exactly.
and he was calling on Jesus, he was calling on God, he was calling on his Savior. And even Jesus, when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was talking with God, we know that he went through an inordinate amount of stress because it said that he sweated drops of blood. And Jesus came to earth to show that he was in human form,
Yes. Yes.
And so with that, anything that we experience, he experienced. And I don't know anybody who's ever experienced stress to the point where they were sweating drops of blood. I know people probably have, but if that is not the greatest amount of stress you can go through, and you can go look at Proverbs, there's a lot of wisdom in there, how to handle people. And so anybody going through, look at Proverbs and the book of Psalms.
Well,
And then when you start feeling better, the Psalms will give you Psalms of rejoice, and Psalms of joy.
when I think about Psalms 133:1, how good and pleasant it is for brethren and sistren to dwell together in unity. When I look at Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him. He shall direct thy paths. And when we look at even Jesus Christ saying, if you can take this cup from me.
Right.
Now, if Jesus can say that, my Lord, we ought to be able to understand.
And Billie Holiday had a song, and some of the words was mother may have, papa may have, rich relations and such, but God bless the child that has his own. And only way that you can have your own is through Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Because he is the author, the finisher of our faith.
Yes.
And he said just to ask. If whatever you ask for is in the will of God, he will provide it. And I'm a witness, the Lord has blessed me tremendously. Yes, I've gone through some mental challenges, but in the end, I know who it was that upheld me as I was going through, and I made it through. And it doesn't mean that I won't be going through again in the near future, because that's just the way life is.
And just in case there are those of us who are at all skeptical about what you are saying, I had the opportunity to interview a gentleman who is a clinical psychologist. and Sister Rebecca Bradley, this gentleman, a clinical psychologist, said on the air how much help he needs and indicated
Really?
that those who are in the field often need as much as or more help than those with whom they are conversing.
And I believe that because they are taking on everyone's problems.
Yes,
And in my job, I heard a lot of stories, and after a while, it does bear weight on you. And my daughter, she works with special education, and a lot of the children
that's right. Yeah.
or have learning disabilities, and then they come in and she hears some of the things that go on in the homes, and sometimes she, see things when they pick up the children from the vehicles and such, the smoke coming out the car and all of this and that. So she's getting a new school, and they are going to be giving them mental health days.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
teachers need mental health days.
My Lord. I
And
I
so
started, yes,
yeah. Mhm.
please go ahead.
Okay. And it just lines up with you had just said about the doctor psychiatrists.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
psychologist.
They need mental health days. Everybody needs somebody
Thank
to
you.
talk to. Everybody have to be able to regroup mentally.
I started teaching in 1964, seventh and eighth
Mm-hmm.
grade. And at least since, I guess, the 1980s, 20 years after I had begun to teach, I determined and suggested that every school needs a psychologist's office in that school, not
I
in the
agree.
school district, not in I mean, the load, the caseload for counselors is absolutely unbearable as it relates to really being able to fulfill the needs of young people where mental health is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hope, and when we consider your daughter and her field, she will be one of those who influences a greater capacity to serve a larger amount of students by having more who are in that field.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So I wish her well,
oh,
and
I'm sure she will be well and do well.
mhm.
Now, when I think about, and I always look over at Brother Walker when I say something like this. I was born in 1942. Now that was before him, but I think in terms of back in the day, as young people, here again, I'm a civilian. I was not in the service. Sister Rebecca, we heard the term shell shocked. That was the term we heard.
The
And
PTSD.
unfortunately, not always in a kind way,
Mhm.
sometimes insulting or sometimes making jokes. Before we heard of post traumatic stress disorder. But now, do you find that those who suffer are more willing to let it be known?
I I would probably say 50%, yeah. 50%.
Okay, okay,
Because some people don't mind saying, well, I have PTSD. Please
yes,
give me, I got PTSD. I'm trying to control this anger.
yes.
And then there are the other 50% that don't know they have PTSD
You,
and
you know,
running and just spouting their anger, you
yes,
know.
ma'am. When
Mm-hmm.
I think about the fact that we are in the throes of a dangerous culture now,
Mm-hmm.
looking at gun control measures, for instance, I remember it has to have been in the 1980s, I'm pretty sure. So we're talking a lot of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I think was when I first heard the term road rage,
Mm-hmm.
and it had occurred somewhere in California. And we almost made jokes about it. And oh, those people in California are crazy and road rage. Isn't that silly? Well, it's 2022 now. Road rage is a reality.
Yes.
We have got to be able to control our own driving, our own vehicle, and just let people alone. But it is a scary time now. And what you say, Sister Bradley, that is so important if we don't realize it, chit-chatting,
Yeah.
being a listening ear is more important than many realize.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Because some people have family and some people don't,
Exactly.
and then if they do have family, they don't want family to know that they're going through.
I'll tell you something that I recognized a little while ago, but more so during the pandemic. People I have talked to on the phone, and maybe particularly veterans. I'm thinking of a couple of veterans now as I think about it. Sister Bradley are talking longer. And I find myself saying, brother, I did not want to keep you on the phone. I just wanted to find out what that email address was or something. I cannot tell you how many times lately the response has been, oh no, I'm fine. I wasn't doing anything. I wanted to talk about, and we're talking longer, and they're sharing more in-depth feelings than I can remember in my 80 years.
Yeah. And as we get older, socialization is important. Very, very important. And we need to join organizations and get out, because the pandemic put a lot of old people in a situation where their mental health declined, their cognitive mental health declined, because they were shut in, didn't have anyone to talk to. And if you didn't have a TV or a radio, it went down even faster. And then when you get a telephone call, when they get a telephone call, of course they want to talk forever,
Yes.
And
Yes.
then sometimes we go to the grocery store and we get to talk to the clerks. Talk to them forever. I'm guilty of that too.
But
I have
it is,
one daughter and she's gone.
but it is so important. It is really important that we understand and that we are patient. And then some of the things we attribute to others are things of which we are guilty. We just don't realize it until somebody else says, Brother Boy, do you know we've been talking for? And I was the one facilitating the conversation, not the other way around. Before you go, you have offered some things that are extremely important to us and repeated your contact information. We were talking about youth programs and young people. Is there a particular age that you concentrate on as it relates to elementary, senior high, college? What age range for those who want to volunteer?
Generally, I work with elementary children, and I would like, when I have events, we would like to have the parents there.
Yes.
Because sometimes the children can get a little rowdy and may hurt another child.
Yes.
And we're not in a situation where we can tap that child on the shoulder and say, don't do that, because you can't touch anyone's children.
That's right.
And parents don't even like you to tell their children you're out of order.
Yeah, things have changed since my day, but I do understand that. But yes, you will be hearing from BFW Auxiliary Post 8100, because we are both in Grandview.
Right.
You will be hearing from Students for Boots. And there are organizations we are affiliated with now. So looking forward to it.
Can I say something before we get off the phone?
Please.
Off the air.
Yes.
A friend of mine, Phyllis Manley, I don't know if you know her. She's a barber on Main Street.
Okay.
31st, little south of Linwood.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyhow, She helped me when I was doing my outreach events to veterans. And she owns a lot on 24th and Vine. And for Father's Day, she and I got together and we did a kind of like a tent service, for Father.
Wow.
And we're going to do it again sometime in July. If I do not get a place for the back to school, we will have it there, 2400 Vine. It's a lot. I pull up my RV, she pull out her tent, I get my chairs, and she serve hot dogs and
Wow.
such. And so for now, unless I get a place, it will be on 24th and Vine.
This
And
is
then
so
we're
good.
hoping to do something in July, 24th and Vine.
Please come back before and make the announcement here so we can talk about it and get ready to join you.
Okay. And I will contact you.
Thank you very, very much. Any other closing remarks before we
Thank
go?
you for inviting me.
Oh, this is our pleasure, I promise you. And we're looking forward to your being here again.
Okay.
All right.
God bless you both.
God bless you. Our very special guest today, Rebecca Bradley, Commander, National Association of Black Veterans, and a stellar career in serving not only Black veterans, but in serving service personnel as well as veterans, well beyond Kansas City. Thank you very much, Louis George Walker, for the production, the engineering, the opportunity for KUAW.org. We have our calendar word for the day and our announcements. We only have 366 of them for every day of the year, including leap year, where we tell young people something we pray is encouraging. It goes like this: to students across the USA, your Stoots for Boots message for this day, June 25th. Thanks for using your summer to stay committed to education. There are troops looking forward to soon attending your graduation. Just because it's summer does not stop. Thanks for using your summer to stay committed to education. There are troops looking forward to soon attending your graduation. My name is Carl Boyd. Thank you, Rebecca Bradley. Thank you, Louis George Walker. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.